Hey, this is Irvin Griffin, and I'm back to talk about this. Of course, this has been in the news, at least in the internet medium news, the last few days about Jeannie Ma Jenkins and her now estranged husband, Jeezy Jenkins, which Jeezy is filed for divorce, and Jeannie Ma reportedly is contesting the divorce. Now, let me be honest. I made an earlier video about a rumor alleging one of the reasons that could be is Jeannie Ma's, frankly, a little bit too close to Mario Lopez. But the inside camp sources, from what I understand from both sides, are saying that is not the reason for the divorce. And as far as is known, Jeannie Ma did not step out on Jeezy with anyone, let alone Mario Lopez, which it felt kind of funny anyway, because Mario seems to be a happily married man. I know they're actors and they can fool folks, but he seemed like a happily married man after years of being a playboy for several years. So I tended not to believe that without hard evidence. That's why I kept saying allegedly in the previous video. But anyway, on to this video. There's some things that are coming out about these two. One of the things that people point out consistently, whether it's Lovely T, whether it's Layla, whether it's Tisa Tales, or whether it's, well, I'm sure Pink Book Lessons at some point is probably going to say something, or whether it's even Chiz Zed. They've all pointed out this relationship started during the pandemic. And as we've seen, a lot of relationships that either started during the pandemic or were around prior to the pandemic, some of them have survived, but a lot of them have fallen apart as some things that were well hid started to become exposed, either before, during, or not long after the pandemic ended. Now, let me say this. One of the things I keep hearing is about Jeezy having a problem with Jeannie Ma's traditions. Jeannie Ma comes from a tradition in the Vietnamese culture where you don't leave or abandon your family. Now, that's not too different from, say, the Hispanic culture, who also have a similar mindset. Now, me personally, looking at it as an outsider, okay, your mom is one thing. And let me clarify. The mom and the brother are living with the estranged couple right now and had been for some time. Your mom is one thing. I mean, she might be elderly. She might be sick. I get the mom. But the brother, unless he is mentally disabled or physically disabled and can't take care of himself, unless it's that situation, nah, he got to get on his own. But that's not Jeannie Ma's mindset. And as far as the cultural and racial differences, this is why I look at people sideways when they say, it don't matter, love is love, I don't see color. We don't have discussions about race with my woman, or I don't have discussions about race with my man. We don't care. I think if you're going to be in, well, really any relationship, certain things should be discussed. But I think especially if you're going to be in an interracial relationship and y'all have cultural differences, you better sit down and discuss them. Now, a lot of the things that I've heard about, honestly, they could be reconciled if people would bother to sit down, take the lawyers out of it, take the family out of it, take friends out of it, and just you two talk. There's a lot of things that could be resolved. And I found with a lot of marriages, they say irreconcilable differences, when a lot of times it's differences that could be resolved if people would just sit down and talk to each other instead of being stubborn about, oh, I want out because I don't have my way. And I'm not one of these, once you get married, you stay married no matter what type of people. No, I'm not that at all. But a lot of times with these marriages, they break up so easily because people don't want to tough it out. They want to tap out on the least little difficulty. But some of these things I think should have been discussed, and I blame both sides for that. Some of these things should have been hashed out and discussed beforehand. But from the way things are sounding, and I don't have all the details, but that's the one glaring detail that stuck out. This should have been discussed before you walk down that aisle. And if you can't come to some kind of compromise or agreement, y'all should have went your own ways. This relationship, from the sounds of it more and more, probably should have been just a pandemic friend with benefits relationship at best. I mean, Jeezy, especially at his age, should have known better than this. This is one of those things he should have had a discussion with his wife, his estranged wife, beforehand. And Jeannie Ma should have put it out there on the table. If I come, my mom and my brothers come too. I mean, and for all I know, she may have been up front. And Jeezy just went along with it at first, thinking, well, eventually they'll move on and me and her will be together with our kid. And that's another thing. I heard there was some differences about their child, the little kid, Monaco, and where she walks her to her preschool or whatever. And I'm like, they got preschools for 1-year-olds? But I didn't. I mean, if they do, please tell me in the comment section. I was not aware of that. Anyway, he actually walks her down, and what he's afraid of is not only security for his daughter, but even for Jeannie, because he's afraid, somebody grabbing them, and he's not there to protect them, or somebody maybe following Jeannie back to where they live and maybe doing something there, which that's a legitimate concern in his case. Because from what I gather, Jeezy is a very private person, whereas Jeannie Ma, she is all about the social media. She's all about being out there. And honestly, I can understand Jeezy's concern because I'm a pretty private person. Save what I make on YouTube and stuff, you don't really know a lot about me. I keep both on YouTube and in my private life. You don't know a lot about me, and I do that on purpose because the less you know, the better, because you're freer to move and do what you need to do and do what you want to do. Then you can't if you're in the public limelight. You really can't move the way you may move when you're in a private limelight. But when you're in public limelight, you can't really move like that. There's certain ways you move that you would be able to do easily as a private citizen. But when you're a public limelight, it's hard to do. So I can get where Jeezy is coming from. And that was also a conflict. And that's something else that should have been discussed, if in fact that was the case. I'm sure in time we'll know some of the details about why they split. But those are the two or three things that I keep hearing. And if that's true, this should have been discussed before you even got married. Otherwise, it should have been just a nice fling. Friends with benefits, get him some of the Asians, shall we say, and she gets some of that side dark meat. Yeah, I looked a little sideways at that comment a few years ago. But just saying, y'all should have just got it on, got your rocks off, and stayed friends and just kept it moving. Sometimes that's best. You know what I'm saying? Especially when you don't want to have a discussion about y'all being from different cultures, different races. And I'm sorry, if you're going to be in an interracial relationship, I got nothing against them. I'm all for them, actually. But if you're going to be in one, you better have that discussion. You better have that talk. Because if you don't, there's a lot of problems that's going to arise if you don't. Anyway, that's all I got to say on this. Like the video, comment, subscribe if you like my stuff. I'm out.